Hey everybody, Dustin Dopirak here, intern Troy Provost-Heron. It's his senior day too.
Yeah.
It's important to note. Tennessee wins regular season finale 53-28 on the last game in Neyland this year. Vols finish 5 straight wins. I think a lot of people thought that was going to happen, but I think you at least got to give credit for Tennessee for doing what it was supposed to do after really a strange, weird beginning to the season. A lot of blown leads and whatnot. They were supposed to win all 5 of these games. They won all 5 of these games. At least today, I think, was just another solid performance that was kind of in kind for what we've seen for the last 5 games.
Yeah, I mean, they did it in almost every aspect of the game. They played well offensively. They played well defensively after, a rough stretch there. And they played well good on special teams. So, I mean, it was another complete game that they kind of needed to, just finish out this regular season and get to the bowl game.
You wrote about the running game. They ended up with, I think, 331 rushing yards, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, they've already had, I think, the best rushing season since about '87, and they still have one more game to improve on that mark. Jalen Hurd goes for 120, Alvin Kamara goes for 99, Josh Dobbs for 93. Seems like they really complemented each other well. All 3 running backs did, and they got really good blocking up front as well.
Yeah, it's their 4th highest rushing total in program history. So, I mean, they've done a great job all season. But I think, they got off and, Dobbs being able to run early kind of set the tempo. Then they got Kamara going. And then, I mean, Jalen Hurd only had 24 rushing yards at the half and rushed for 96 yards in the 3rd quarter. So, I mean, that was huge. And, when they have all 3 of those guys going, it is a really hard offense to stop. And today they had it, and it showed. They scored a lot of points.
Yeah, no, I thought it. One thing that I think John's pointed out, this is one of those big occasions where Dobbs is the game changer tonight, because it seemed like Vanderbilt was very much keying on Jalen Hurd. They weren't going to let him get anything. That was sort of what they were determined to do. And eventually they realized that they couldn't do that anymore. Basically, they had to account for Josh Dobbs, because he just burned them over and over again, because that was what was there. When they were keying everything on Hurd, he found places to go. I mean, he just ran over defenders, made some big-time plays. Even there was one play, I think, that was sort of an accident where he took a shotgun snap and dropped it. Didn't have anywhere to go with the ball, so he just ran for like 20-something yards. But I think that was sort of the big key today, is once Dobbs got going and then Vanderbilt recognized how much they were going to have to respect him, you started to see things open up for Hurd that really weren't there in the first half. Defensively, you saw just a huge change from first half to second half. Gave up 276 yards to what is a pretty bad Vanderbilt offense statistically. It was only averaging 14 points a game. Coming into this game, doubled that tonight. This is the most points that Vanderbilt has scored. They got 2 garbage time touchdowns to make this happen, but most points they've scored against an FBS team this year. Gave up 276 yards, a big 50-yard run to Ralph Webb that kind of reminded you a lot of the breakdowns and problems they had early this season. But from that point on, from really the point, Todd Kelly had a really big interception at the end of the half to keep Vanderbilt from bringing that thing within a score. And from that point on, they really shut Vanderbilt down. Only gave up 15 yards in the 3rd quarter. It was 9 plays, 3 and well, I guess kind of 3 and outs. One of those was a safety, Derek Barnett, with the sack on that one. By the way, his analysis of that one, I saw the quarterback, I hit the quarterback. That's what goes through Derek Barnett's mind, and it works. But really shut them down. I think they only had 16 by the time Tennessee goes up 53-14 after that. The second stringers come in. I think they had about 115 yards after that point, but most of that was against second-team guys. So Tennessee moves on, 8-4. Second place in the SEC East, second place by a point in the SEC East. I should remind everyone, it's 2 games in the standings, but we know it's 1 point in reality. But where do you think this team goes? Obviously, it would seem like one of those sort of pool of 6 bowls, which would be the Outback, the Belk, the Gator, Tax Slayer, whatever you want to call it, Music City, Texas, and Liberty. Probably wouldn't go to the Gator Bowl 2 years in a row. Where do you think we're going to be for the holidays this year, Troy? What do you think?
Personally, I'm hoping for the Outback Bowl. I think they have a pretty good shot at it. That's where I'm from, so that's where I want to go. But I think they have a pretty good shot at that. I think it'd be the Outback or Music City Bowl, kind of what I've been, what you kind of hear out there. And Belk Bowl kind of also a possibility. I think it's going to be one of those 3.
That's what I'm thinking as well. I think certainly the Liberty Bowl wants them desperately, and they just keep missing out. But obviously the fan base helps Tennessee. And if you were to kind of take the helmets and uniforms and just say, okay, well, who's the best team out of this group, and therefore who deserves to go to really the best bowl of that group, being the Outback Bowl, it wouldn't be Tennessee. It'd be something like an Arkansas or Mississippi State, depending on the Egg Bowl is going on as we speak, and Ole Miss is up pretty good, which suggests probably it's going to be Alabama in a playoff, presuming they beat Florida next week, and I presume they will. Ole Miss, and then probably Florida ahead of them, and everything else is kind of up in the air with Mississippi State, Arkansas, Texas A&M, LSU. You know, there's a bunch of teams that would seem to be ahead of Tennessee when you're just talking about football resume. But when it comes to bowl games, you're not just talking about football resume. You're talking about how do you really make money off the game. You know, Tennessee fans are going to travel well, so that makes them attractive to the Outback Bowl, but also any of those other ones. So those are some pretty decent games, certainly a lot of options. But again, the big thing is Tennessee is going to be bowling again. We know that, and they're going to be in a pretty decent spot. So, all right, thanks everybody. Appreciate you watching this stuff all year, and we'll have more for the bowl game. Thanks.